This is something I've never shared.
Okay.
Even before this, and only Jerry Jones and Tammy would bear witness of this, we were kind of joking for about a year in the car about the seventh cow before it existed. That only happens at Morningside. I don't know, it happened on the way to the airport. So we have emails back and forth about the seventh cow. Didn't exist. Then, and I have an email a few days I sent to you before the first appearance of the first cow. So what happened is that on this day in autumn, suddenly the Associated Press, not Christian, not prophecy, they send forth an image to America, and the image is of the cow with the number 7 on its head. That's the image that goes through the world. Now, just to set it up for those who don't know, the biblical basis of this is this: that when God warned Egypt of the coming of 7 years of famine, the changing of seven again, Shemitah, 7 years of abundance to 7 years of famine, it's the Pharaoh who has the dream, and the dream is of the 7 cows and another 7 cows. And he sees them, and those cows, each cow represents a year. The first 7 represents years of prosperity. The second 7, the sickly, or in Hebrew, the evil cows, represent the years of famine. So every cow, this is the first biblical symbol given in the Bible of the warning of economic famine, collapse, is that of a cow. Every cow represents a year. And so the key turning point is the cow number 7. That's the last year. Not only that would represent the Shemitah, because it's the 7th year represents, but it also represents the turning point from a prosperity to famine. Okay, so you've got that all there. And then so what happens now? The Associated Press sends this image to America of cow number 7, the biblical imagery that God warned Egypt about, now coming to America. And what date is it released to America? It's released on September 25th, the opening day of the 7th year, the very opening day of the Shemitah. The biblical symbol of the 7th year comes out on the opening day of the 7th year of this cow that they put, the secular press put it on the airwaves because they said this is so weird to have a cow born with the number 7. It was just born a few days before. By the way, its name was Benjamin. They called it Ben or Benjamin, which is actually linked to Joseph, Benjamin. And so this goes out. Now, I shared this last time I was here. So you've got that.
Now, it was announced, though, on the first day of
September 25th is the day the image went out. The opening day of the Shemitah, which was exactly half a year from this convergence of all these things.
But it's like the trumpet sounds on that day. The warning goes out. Do you understand this at all? What's the odds of this, people?
Yeah.
On the first day of the Shemitah year, the warning goes out of a cow with a 7. And what did the world interpret it as?
They just thought, hey, this is a real weird thing, and it's a sign that maybe they linked it to the Pittsburgh Steelers, something very crazy, something like that.
They thought it was a sign that they were going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's how they.
So they named the cow after a football player.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a picture of America.
Wow.
We turn it all to pleasure and sports and fun or whatever.
And just like missing the harbingers, missing another sign right here. I mean, and so, first of all, for a cow to have a number 7 to begin with, that's something. That's beyond. But then to have it on the day that the cow represents the 7th year. So you have, and that's not, it's the Shemitah. So here it goes out on that day. Now, I come here, and this is all part of God's, I believe, working. I'm sharing it with you here last time. And then it turns out, and I only know this because I watched the show. So it turns out 2 farmers from Texas.
Yes.
Hep and Pam. Is that it?
And
right. They happened to, you happened to turn on the Jim Baker show within 20 seconds of me sharing this.
This is the man.
Yeah.
But Hap, you walk into your house. You just came home from doing shopping or something. You've been out. You walk in the house, and so he turns his TV on. If he would have been a few minutes later, he would have missed it. It was right at the end of where you were on talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, we have a cow like that. We have a calf that was just born. And then he looked.
Yeah, and then what I saw here is that you looked at your records and you actually put the timing of the birth of the cow. And when you looked at the timing of the cow, it was born on September 25th, the same opening day of the Shemitah, the opening of the 7th year, same day. Not only is it enough to have a cow with the number 7, now there are 2 cows with the number 7, and both the same exact day.
No one won. Do you know not one? I read all the newspapers clippings. I read everything about it. And all they thought it was a sign maybe that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to win the Super Bowl. And no one had any spiritual inkling except they said, oh, it's weird. You know, that 7 is weird, you know. And then God gives a born-again calf, I guess. Because, well, at least the farmers are born-again people.
Okay.
They're our partners. They watch this show.
Even that is the hand of God.
Yes.
That it happened to be someone who's watching and part of the
Yes.
ministry, and
Right.
that's where it was shared.
That's right.
God did it so we wouldn't miss these things.
That's
What do
Just like
you
with the
think,
Harbinger.
Rabbi? What do you think God's saying through this?
Well,
I
one
wanted to
is-
ask you. This is
yeah.
my first chance.
One is the Bible speaks in the matters of judgment, there have to be 2 witnesses. Before the matter of judgment can be passed, there are 2 witnesses. Here there are 2 cows with the number 7 confirming, the second confirmation, 2 witnesses of this phenomenon. That's the first thing. Secondly, it's interesting because there are different types of cows. I mean, when one was male and one is female, one is a red heifer, on top of everything, red heifer, which is,
That's
with
a
the number
spiritual
7.
cow, right?
Yeah.
That's a biblical.
But notice something it's kind of completes it all, because in the warning that was given to Egypt through the dream of Pharaoh, it wasn't just 7 cows, it was 14 cows. It was 2 sets of 7. 2 sets of 2 cows who are the 7th cow. Now it's 14. You understand? You just add what's on the cow, and you have 14. That is the final number of Pharaoh's dream, and split in half by 7 and 7. That's Pharaoh's dream. That's the same. It's like matching the same imagery. 14, 2 7th cows, each cow representing the set. One, and notice something else. The cows of Pharaoh's dream are representing. It's one type of cow is the 7th cow of one type, and then there's a different type of cow that is the other 7. So there are 2 7th cows, each representing the 7. So it's matching it exactly. In all the components of that warning to Egypt are now complete with the 7 and 7, 2 cows. And now notice something else. If you look at that first cow, you look at that 7. That 7, it looks like almost a typewriter 7. It looks like it's got a serif. It looks like it's like a fancy 7.
Yeah.
Time Romans. Now remember, with the 2 cows, there were 2 different kinds. The first was representing abundance. The second represents the famine. So 2 different kinds. The second 7 of this one doesn't look fancy. It looks almost like a Passover 7. Like you dabbed this. You dabbed it on as like Passover. It's sparse. You have with Pharaoh. There's no frills on that one. The first one, it looks like this very fancy typewriter here. So you have 2 types of cows, just as you did with the 2 types of 7 with Pharaoh. You had one representing prosperity, fanciness, and the other representing judgment. Or the warning of what's coming. And the 7th cow represents the turning from abundance to judgment or famine.
Wow.
And while you all are here, the equinox is split totally in half. It's just what you're saying about the 2
Splitting of
sevens.
the Shemitah right now. We're talking about, and notice that the other thing I thought, what are the chances of that all this, and then it's a red heifer, which the Bible speaks about. Red heifer was a sacrifice, but it was about cleansing through kind of fire, through judgment. Could it be that through what is coming, God is seeking to bring a cleansing, a purging, and a revival among those who will turn to God?
Amen. I'm believing
red heifer
for
is
that.
not redemption.
The harvest.
Red heifer has the theme of judgment because it's ashes, but also redemption in it, revival. Yeah.
That's good.
September 25th, which is the opening day of the Shemitah,
Yes.
was also the new year. It was also the civil new year, Tishri 1. It's the beginning of Tishri. You know, it's
Yes.
the opening of the civil year.
Yes.
So that was the new year. Well, then we had our new year, the January 1st, and we had a celebration at Beth Israel, and I came home and I got an email from you. It was the very stroke of midnight, and I found out about the other calf born. That's how I heard about it. I feel this is a sealing, the confirmation, and the two witnesses, as that's part of the same principle. Remember with Isaiah 9:10, it wasn't just one person who said it, Tom Daschle, who pronounces it. Then he has John Edwards say the exact same thing, and then Obama even. So not that they know it. So he confirms his word. It's like a sealing. But with this one, it's on the, not only it's the exact symbolism that God gave to Egypt to warn them of this very thing.
How many years ago was the first warning?
So this is, almost 4,000 years ago when that happened to Egypt. And again, it concerns...
And God's using the cow again.
The same sign, same symbol, same thing. And not only is it one, but it was two. That means it's the exact matching of Pharaoh's dream. It's two sets of seven. And
it said judgments.
It was a warning saying, get ready. That you're going from abundance to famine in the land, and that's what the turning point was. And I thought about something else, and I'm not saying that we know all these things, but interesting. 14 years. It comes out to two cows of seven. That was a 14-year period. But it's actually, we're coming to the 14-year period since all this began. Since 9/11 began, we're coming now to the 14th year, which also goes with the cows. And that 14th year will be September of 2015, which will be the last day that the stock markets open, will be 9/11, September 11th, going into the wipeout Elul 29 day. It'll be frozen at 9/11, whatever 9/11 is. That's going to be frozen into this Elul 29. That will be the 14th anniversary, 2 sevens, 14th anniversary of 9/11 since the Harbingers began.
I believe the 9/11 was the great warning to our country. And you believe that because that's what the Harbingers was built around.
Same pattern of Israel.
But they didn't listen.
We've gotten much worse.
Have we listened?
America has grown so... Think about where we were then and where we are now. It's gotten worse.
People, listen. As I look at you over here. Think of what's happened in 14 years in America.
Remember, everybody flocking to churches after 9/11 saying, God bless America, and remember that what looked like could have been a revival lasted for 3 weeks. No revival, no repentance, no revival, no changing of course. So what's happened? We've not only stayed where we didn't just stay where we were. We didn't just not come back to God. We've grown so much farther from God now. It's accelerating. And that's why I believe the signs are accelerating. We are rapidly heading, there was, I mentioned that the man who had the dream of the tower going up, he saw 9/11, then he saw this tower going up, which was the new tower. And as it went up, he saw America descending. That's when he heard the voice saying, this tower is a seal and a sign of my judgment against this nation. We are rapidly heading, and this year of the Shemitah is most likely going to witness the ending of marriage, the definition of marriage as we know it, as the Supreme Court is set to decide that in June of the year of the Shemitah.
I believe without America, America is really in deep trouble, people. I believe we should prepare. I believe we ought to be ready, don't you?
Yeah, the Bible says a wise man sees calamity coming and prepares. The first preparation, most important preparation for anyone is get right with God. That's the first thing. If you're not born again, get born again. That's the safest place to be, is inside Jesus. Safest place on earth. And if you are born again, get your life in Him. If there are things that shouldn't be there, get it in now. Yes. That's the thing. Then be wise. With everything else, be wise. Be wise. The Bible does. We're talking about, here's the interesting thing. You're talking about Joseph. Joseph was the one, the key preparer in the Bible. He's the prepper. He's the one who prepared. But it's interesting because the same sign of Joseph, who was the first preparer, has been now come to America, which is the cows, the seven and the cows. Same thing. That was about preparing.
Wow.